Good evening, everyone. This is Sir Snek Attenborough, and today we have entered into the habitat of the elusive creature known as the Umamusume.
Uma, Uma, oh, I'm not trained today. Uma,
This strange and elusive creature exists in a strange niche in its habitat. It enjoys racing and not ever being male for some reason. But the greatest mystery, the mystery that we have set out to clarify for all of you at home, is the greatest mystery of the Umamusume, which is to say, what is Umapyoi? And why do they say it when they are happy? Well, it might surprise you to learn that we know the answer, and we are going to share it with you. Umapyoi is
that explains everything.
it does. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tomodachi Bros podcast. Joining me today is my ever-vigilant companion, Ditaku.
Am indeed here. And let me tell you, this is one of those games that I kind of sort of slept on. And I'm like, I tried it in the green eggs and ham way of like, everyone on the internet is saying this game is good. Fine, I'm going to try it. At which point I'm like, Snack, I don't know what to tell you this. Having a strange situation. He's like, do you hate it? I'm like, no, that's the thing. Having fun.
Yes, and basically it came to me. Some friends were very excited for the global release of the game, and so they told me about it, and I looked a little into it, and I'm like, golly, this looks an awful lot like Monster Rancher, but with cute anime girls with horse ears. So I pre-register the game and download it when it launches, and I start playing, and I'm like, this is a lot like Line Monster Farm. And before anyone jumps into the comments, yes, I know in Japan Umamusume came first. Okay, you don't need to give me a remedial chronology of media class. I already know. I'm just saying I played Line Monster Farm first. And then I played Umamusume, and they are shockingly similar games, and we'll get into that later. But it does beg to be explained, like, what are we even talking about? And, well, to set the stage, you have to understand that in Japan, most forms of gambling are illegal. Now, one particular gambling avenue that is not illegal is betting on horse races. Horse races are kind of a big deal in Japan, as it turns out. Now, there's definitely a scene here in the United States and in other countries where many people enjoy equine racing. Wunderbar. Much love. But
There's a big, culture in the United States, especially in the West, for a love of horses for understandable reasons.
no, certainly. Horses are beautiful, majestic animals. They are incredibly fast runners, and they are very intelligent animals. I get it. So along comes Psy Games, and I guess really to fully understand Psy Games, you have to understand a little bit about their history. Because Psy Games has always been a little bit of a double-edged sword in terms of game development. Uh, for instance, do you know do you know the reason why gotcha games have to tell you what their drop rates are in the context of their gotcha menus? It's because of Psy
Wasn't that Grand
Games.
Blue?
Grand Blue Fantasy, yes. Grand Blue Fantasy
Oh snap!
did not
They were the ones
advertise.
behind Grand Blue.
Yes, Psy Games did Grand Blue, and Dragalia lost. And Like, here's the thing. I played both those games. Dragalia Lost was a very good game up until they just like kneecapped it, and now you just can never play it or see anything about it again. Uh, which is probably Nintendo's fault, to be fair. That probably wasn't actually Cygames based on what I've read. But they made Grand Blue Fantasy, so, points have to be deducted because Grand Blue Fantasy. Uh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was
You know,
very mediocre, is all I'm
there's
saying. It's not my jam.
something that you might not be aware of, Professor.
Okay.
The original character designer for Umamusume,
Right?
the same guy who did the original My Life with Monster Girl,
Really?
Kaido.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
And it's because of the start of Umamusume, actually. He basically had a nervous breakdown, understandably.
Yeah.
They were asking him to do a lot of character designs all at once, and he also had several mangas that were ongoing. And it's for that reason, basically, that my goat, my favorite of his mangas, 12 Beast, basically got canceled because he had, mental breakdown and was hospitalized. And his publisher is like, yeah, we're gonna, 12 Beast isn't doing that well anyway, which is a shame. Honestly, I think it's my favorite of anything he's done in terms of his own comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
So
having played Umamusume now, I'm like, this isn't the same, but I can understand
I get
why
it.
it had to die. Yeah.
And now, so here's the thing. Cygames decides to make this game about idle racehorses. And you got to understand, they have kind of a pedigree. This is also the same team between Idolmaster, the mobile game.
Pedigree. I was about to say pedigree. Yeah, these are like
Yes.
Grand Blue, the OG, like ridiculous anime
Yes.
gotcha game.
Yes. They did Grand Blue. They did Idolmaster. Uh, they've done a lot in the mobile games market and in the extremely anime otaku niche. So to say that these guys definitely had the chops to go to this kind of weird challenge and even do it well. So you're talking about they start working on a game. As I understand it, and my exact chronology of this could be a little bit off, so correct me in the comments if I say something boneheaded. So they made this comic, Do Your Best Haru Urara. It wasn't a big hit, and is now considered lost to media in regards to the Umamusume franchise. But the idea was fundamentally the same. Taking these
Is it the
famous,
same Aru design?
I believe so, based on what little I've seen. Uh, so they would go on to start licensing actual real world racehorses from their owners. Now, this is kind of where that meme about like, oh, they're all Yakuza owned. Uh, that's probably like half true. Like, there's probably truth to that, but at the same time, it's not really as prolific as the meme would imply. So the thing that then ends up happening is they license all these horses and they design 18 main characters and start launching an anime. Now, I have not watched the anime. I am sorely out of the loop with regards to the anime and the manga upon which this meta series is based. I don't know, what's the reverse of a casual? Like, I only play the games. This would be like a Toho fan if they only played the games and never interacted with the fan art or anything.
Oh, so an absolute patrician then.
yeah, yeah, let's go with that. But they released the anime first, and they're looking at launching the game. And something happens, and they're like, oh, well, we're going to delay the game a little bit. And then they follow up with, okay, we're delaying the game indefinitely. And they scrap everything they had done. They delete everything. Hard delete, select all, delete button, confirm. They rebuild the game from scratch, in no small part because of the reception of the anime. So, let me detour for just a second. So the anime is basically like a sports anime. I know that much. and it focuses very heavily on the competitive world of Uma racing. The thing is, in this world, there are no equine species. There are no horses. There are humans and there are Umas. And if a human couple has a daughter, there is some small but non zero chance that she will be born an Uma. If a human and an Uma form a couple, then if they have a daughter, it will be an Uma. And if they have a son, it will be a regular human. Now, that's basically the excuse plot. And basically, the entire conceit from there is Uma's love to race. It is their mission in life to race one another and to be the best at racing. And that's pretty much where it picks up. As I recall, the anime follows, I want to say, Special Week as the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's Special Week and Toketeo, I want to say, are
yeah,
the main girls.
but when they first announced it, they did it in a really interesting way. Probably because they didn't even have the rights immediately when this franchise was first in its planning production phases. They just showed the character art and challenged people to look at the art and the descriptions that they give and try to figure out what horses they were based on. So they just drop 18 main characters with vague descriptions and like some little comments and quirks about each. And like that's all the fans had to go on. So like these really ravenous fans start banding together in part because people who are already into horse racing were like, "Oh hey, this is relevant to my interests," and they wanted to see where it was going to go. People who are fans of sports anime were like, "Oh, this is really cool. It's going to feature like these cute anime girls going into foot races. That's really cool." And even casuals were just kind of like, "Oh, it's about cute girls. I'll watch." It was kind of the perfect storm of bizarre choices that ultimately culminated in a successful launch. But that successful launch was the catalyst for them destroying the game and completely retooling it. One of the things they mentioned was the original game was going to be played in landscape mode. And they decided they didn't want to do that. They wanted it in portrait mode. And that's because if you're in landscape mode, you can't see their tails. Umas have horse ears and they have horse tails. And it's one of their defining features is their tails. So the landscape
Mm.
orientation of the game stems from the fact they wanted you to see that these were, indeed horse girls.
Uh,
The
I did not realize that that was the reason why I had to turn my tablet every single time I play this now. But
yes,
now that I understand, I'm like, I get it.
yeah, because they wanted to show you like Umas are basically human women, but just not. They're monster girls with a slightly Saiyan-esque explanation. Because Umas are
Yeah.
stronger and faster than ordinary humans. There is no way a human can keep up with
Oh,
an Uma in a foot race. It's not possible.
yes. No, not even that. It's like if they say that if must actually start like doing strength training, like if you have particular character trainees like Amazon or ones that focus on power, they're like, yeah, they basically are like straight up superhuman in terms of what they're supposed to be able to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
So they have like a competitive league all their own, and it's all Uma. And of course, Uma can only be women, even if they're based on a male counterpart in real life. Uh, that's just how this works.
are
And
you familiar with the signifier for how you're supposed to be able to tell what the original is?
isn't it their hair?
No, it's not their hair. It's actually the pendant that they have on their hair. It's on
Oh,
their
for
left ear.
if they were a male or a female
Yes.
horse. Okay, I'm with you now. I thought you meant like
If
who could
yes.
how to identify which horse they were, and I'm like most of the time it's their
No,
hair.
no, no. Well, yes. I mean, but it's if you can tell if the original horse is a male or female, depending on what ear their ornament is on. If it's a male, it's their left ear. If it's right, it's a mare.
Okay,
That's how you do that.
all
And
right,
I
fair.
can remember that always because the goat, the OG, our girl Golshi.
Right.
has her red ribbon on her left ear. So, I mean,
Or
apart from her like headset that she has.
yeah.
So,
Okay, that's it. I did not know that. So okay, you have also come prepared for your trivia game today.
oh, I just know that because everyone always is like, that's like Uma lore 101. They're like, did you know that's how you can tell? It's like, wow, okay, I've only seen this like a dozen times, and now you all have experienced this.
Now we have continued the cycle of Uma trivia, and
Yes. Yeah.
so they retool the game, put it in portrait mode, and they focus on the racing. Same as the anime, it's all about the racing. But this gave them a unique opportunity because the games can explore what if scenarios that real life never could. Uh, like
Yes. And man, let me tell you, the Unity Cup can go eat a lemon because holy shit, it is. I'm sorry,
we're 10
holy
minutes in, it's fine.
goobers, holy goobers. I am so sick and tired of babysitting my stupid team, and it's like my Uma need my personal Uma that I'm training needs to do this. But if I don't do team training, then it's
Then you
gonna
miss out.
mess
Yeah.
everything up. Yeah. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of randomness. If you Here's the thing. A lot of monster ranchers were drawn to Umamusume. And I have not seen the reverse trend. I have not seen Umamusume fans transfer to Monster Rancher. But here's my challenge to all of you listening.
well, to be perfectly honest, I'm gonna say this. The way you described Line Monster Rancher, it's not the way that the actual Monster Rancher games are. If they tried like Monster Rancher DX, I would say yes, but it's not. It is not that. I hate to say, it seems honestly like Line Monster Rancher is, or Line Monster Farm rather, is kind of bad compared to the original.
it's it's a step down in some respects. Yes. Uh, so let's touch on the game's mechanics, and this will make a little bit more sense. So in both Uma Musume and Line Monster Farm, you first pick a horse and or monster to raise. Then you pick parents for them, a legacy for two quote unquote parents for whoever it is or whatever it is you're raising. Then you pick a deck of cards. You pick 5 from cards that you have, which are, of course, in Line Monster Farm, they're gotcha filler, and in Uma, they are just their own separate gotcha window, which in many ways makes Uma Musume the superior gotcha game, not gonna lie. I hate Line Monster Farm's gotcha with a passion. I hate it so much. Um,
Professor, you could have just said, I hate gotcha
I
because, I
hate
mean,
gotcha,
and I
period,
would be
in
like,
this sentence.
understandable. Understand. It's like so many games are held back by their awful gotcha. Fate
Yes.
Grand Order, As Your Lane, so many great games are held back by this like incessant need to gamble in order to make people spend money on
Yeah.
things, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and I honestly, if there was a way, if there was like some kind of way that like you could monetize mobile gaming without having it resort to gambling, I would love to see it because honestly, it would be so good, and we could move away from this grand blue, like having, sad, lonely otakus be like, oh, well, I don't have I'm eating, cold water soup, but at least I have, my SSR ultra rare, 7-star Drizella the Dragon Angel, and she calls me Oni-chan, and then she drops a black hole on them, and it's cool.
They did that only once to my recollection. It was called Mega Man X Dive Offline, and it basically fixed everything wrong with Mega Man X Dive by just you buy the game and then you never spend money on it again, which is how games
World
should
Flippers,
work.
World Flippers EX did that too, but that's only available in Japan,
Bummer.
from what I understand.
That's disappointing. I liked World Flippers. Uh,
I heard good things about it, but I heard about it about a year after it stopped being live
mm,
service, which is like,
yeah,
oh man, these character designs are really cute.
yeah, no, they are. Back to horse girls. So
Yes.
basically, you raise your Umas have 5 stats. They have speed,
It's
stamina, power, the useless one, and wits. The,
I honestly maybe it's just my proclivities, but I seem to have a lot of trainees that have high guts. And let me tell you, guts itself may not be useful, but the fact that it basically boils down to this is like the balanced option for training because it doesn't just train guts, by the way. It basically trains everything else. It basically trains speed, power, and guts, which is a lot. The thing
yes,
being though is that they're not huge amounts, but if you're doing the Unity Cup, for instance, and you start going into the mid to late game where you basically have like 30 girls that you're balancing and you have, there's always going to be 6 or 7 that are going to be training in any one stat,
yeah,
you could accumulate a fair amount of power, especially if you get a full what do they call it, like spirit training, where you get like super double the amount of
yeah.
bonus.
Where you can get like
If you
40 or
pull that
50
off,
in a single training. Yeah, feels good, man.
I am not kidding you. I last night I pulled Gold City, and she has um, guts plus 20, I want to say,
Right.
and so I was always trying to. I'm like, okay, all right, my stamina is kind of going to be bad, but it's okay. If I can just get to the half point, then I'll be able to rely on my huge amount of guts. But here's the thing, though, because she had such good benefits from guts training, and the fact that like it always seemed like they wanted me to train guts anyway because of the spirit connections that I was getting in training, I was able to improve her speed. I was able to improve her power, which is really good because she's one of those that likes to hang back. And so she's like, oh, yeah, I'm racing. I'm going to, okay, oh, crap. It's like the last 200 meters. I got to like really put the pedal to the metal.
Yes.
Not for nothing. I really cannot stand those characters because like watching the races, it's like, okay, come on, you're going to, and then it gets to like the last quarter, and then that's when like crazy things happen where they just like, you know
Get the
slam their
lead
foot
out.
down, they just rocket forward, and it's like, you guys are gonna
Ye-
give me a heart attack.
yes. So here's the thing. It sounds like we're oversimplifying, but one, there's reasons for it, and two, like Umamusume is shockingly complex on a technical level. So you know how most races are broken up into increments of 400, and how some are, I believe, 1,000? Well, there's a reason for that. Not only because that's standard horse racing distances, but because the game breaks races into like separate segments. And those separate segments all have different mechanics ascribed to them. So, as Utaka was saying, when you hit that last 400 meters, the entire nature of the game has changed. Now, mind you, races are entirely automatic. It's dependent on your horsey and how you've raised her, what skills she has, etc., etc. So, I'm going to teach you guys a couple
And on
tricks.
top of that, each
Good.
each trainer, each horse trainee is very different. Silent Suzuka is going to be very different in terms of the strategy that she's going to want to employ rather than Hishi Akebono.
Yes.
Silent Suzuka wants to be basically rocket forward at the beginning, and she wants to just coast on that for the rest of the race, assuming that she rocketed forward far enough that she just can kind of. It's like, it's okay if they kind of catch up with me. I'm still in the front, and I'm always going to be in the front.
Yep.
Whereas Hishi Akabono is basically like, it's okay if somebody rockets forward. I am so big and so strong that I'm basically going to bulldoze them in that last quarter.
Yep.
So you kind of notice that there's a few, niches, if you will, for
Yes.
like what a certain train needs.
Because even though the
Sorry, I didn't mean
races,
to interrupt you.
not at all. Actually, you brought up a really good point for where I was headed next. Because not only are the races broken up into different legs, you have different strategies to approach each race. So, as Itaku said, you have front runners, you have pace chasers, late surgers, and then end rushers. And here's the thing,
You
they're all very different, and each Uma has proclivities for one or the other.
yes, a even amongst a lot of pace chasers, and pace chasers seem to be the quote unquote normal ones. You'll get things like Grass Wonder, my darling, my beloved. She is so cute. And she's also an absolute villain in the fact that her entire
Yes.
strategy revolves around like debuffing and stat downing every other girl on the racetrack. And then she just looks at you. She's like, "Aw, did I do that?"
Did I
Whereas then
literally
you also
debuff
have,
everyone on the track? Oopsie.
and then there's also your waifu, Super Creek, who's or her basic form basically is, yeah, I'm never gonna lose stamina. I just have like 4 stamina skills, and I'm just never gonna run out of steam.
And yeah, her character specialty is a stamina recovery.
And she gets like 3 at one, like one that's a pace chaser, and she's a pace chaser character. She
Yep.
gets another one which is medium, and she's always going to do a medium track. And then another one where it's like, which is another pace chaser one. And so it's like, you're never going to run out of stamina. And so you never, basically you want to have high speed and high wits. And you don't really need to worry about your stamina because you're effectively going to constantly be recovering stamina.
Yep.
At least that's a strategy. I have done like 3 different successful Super Creek runs with both of the forms that I have for her. She is a really easy character to
She
play.
is. Super Creek
No,
is a
no hate.
very no hate. Nope. Super
No,
Creek
I was
is
about to say
a
no hate. I've had a lot of success with her.
Super Creek
Oh,
is great.
yeah.
She is a very good Uma. So like the way some things are going to work under the hood are not going to be obvious. But if you open your UMA stat screen, you will see what their specialties are. Everything is rated in a grade level, with G being the absolute lowest and S being the absolute highest. And these will generally give you a breakdown of what you can expect each UMA to be good or bad at. Like, if you have, say, Haru Urara, you have where she's basically only really good at one thing and kind of terrible at everything else. Or then you get ones that have a
No,
little more
no, no,
variation.
no. That's unfair. The thing is that what you're not telling them is that basically, in addition to all these wrinkles that we're telling you, there are also the racetracks themselves. And depending on the type of racetrack, whether or not it has turf or dirt, will be it'll actually kind of determine whether or not your your horse girl is like actually effectively whether or not they're able to operate at 100% efficiency or not. The thing with Haru, and this is kind of the issue with her in general, and why the fandom seems to treat her like she is a sweet cinnamon roll who can do no wrong, is the fact that she has absolutely terrible turf stats, and 90% of the racetracks that you're going to encounter are turf tracks. And so
Yep.
she's always at a disadvantage. She is the ultimate underdog in the game, and why every single Haro run you're ever going to do is going to be a wild adventure, and you're just going to be like, I came in 4th, and you're like, oh, you know what? Here, have a cinnamon roll. You did your best. It's okay.
You are a good girl and you did your very best, and no one's allowed to
Yes,
say
but
otherwise.
the downside to this though is if you ever encounter a dirt racetrack, she will destroy anyone because she has like G in turf, but S on dirt. And there's an entire subdivision in the PvP racing where it's just dirt racing. And most other Umas are terrible at it. And so you'll either see, and I'm not kidding you, it'll be Oguri Cap or Haru. for this reason.
Yep.
People raise her just to have a good horse for that,
Well, not just
effectively.
that. Haru Urara presents the gamers with probably the biggest challenge in the game. Now, it's an optional challenge. You don't have to do it. But remember when I mentioned about 10, 20 minutes ago about how the game could explore possible what if scenarios that real life never could? Well, Haru Urara, one of her, I believe her final goal in the game, before you start getting to the Ura final, is you have to run the Arima Kinnan. And the thing with that track is it is like just scientifically engineered to make Haru Urara come in 18th place.
Yes,
It is,
she is a dirt, and she is good at sprinting, and it's
yes,
a long track, and it's on turf. It is scientifically designed to be like in her worst attributes.
yes.
Honestly, it isn't. You're not even supposed to rank in it. It's just you have to run in
You
it.
just have
Kind
to
of assuming that
participate.
you're going to, yeah.
Yeah,
She has like three of them. Haru's main thing, if you go through her career mode, is effectively to increase her number of fans.
yep,
And so it's less about placing in races like with any other trainee, but basically just to run a lot of races. And that's when you start to notice that, like, hey, there are actually a lot more dirt tracks than I thought there were.
yep.
There's a lot of them. And then you're like, oh, this is the thing. You basically have been, you've been on a disadvantage this whole time.
Yep.
You're actually really, really good.
Yeah, no, she is. And so the hardest challenge that I am consciously aware of, I'm sure there could be some other niche situation, but there are people who spec and build to make Haru Urara win the Arima Kennen. And if you do, you actually get a unique cutscene event where the people who have become her fans are so moved by the fact that she finally won, the crowd collectively bursts into tears. And she is such a good natured, dim witted horsey that she's like, why are they sad? And you, as the trainer, are like, no, 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 they're not sad. They're overwhelmed and so happy for you. And she's like, oh, well, that's okay then.
Yes.
And let me tell you, this is not an easy task. You have to build for this. This is less than a general strategy. This is people who have broken down the algebra to mathematically ensure this sweet little cinnamon roll finally nets a win in a scientifically improbable set of circumstances. That is
That
how
would require having
dedicated.
that would require having an extremely high level mom and dad, and
Mhm.
having extremely high level cards for that. That would be, plus also having the game actually be kind to you. I noticed actually with a recent Hishi Akabono thing where, like, I was doing really good. I was having a lot of high. I was getting events that would, trigger, that would give me like additional training benefits. But the problem is that it would always be like, oh, trainer, I did a thing. Increased stat, minus 15 energy every single time. And so I'm like, Akabono, I love you, but freaking let me keep my energy. We are about to do summer camp. This is the time to get the big money for our stat gains.
So
Why do you have to do after school training?
so this is another area where I think Monster Rancher bleeds in, is because randomness is a factor and there is realistically very little you can do about it.
And this is why the gold ship is also the other like great experience, because it'll, like, every other situation, it's like, oh man, I sure do like racing. And meanwhile, it's just like, yeah, gold ship, what have you done? I've got the nuclear launch codes. Why though? This is the only way I can defeat God, traitor son. Why?
But
Why?
but why? And the
In order to
answer
return
is
home to my home planet, I must defeat God. I learned it about it in my vision quest. But gold ship, don't you know there's a divine force even stronger than God? What's that? Moms. Naughty. This actually happens, by the way. Goldship tries to defeat God, and then Super Creek shows up out of nowhere because there's the force of mothers is actually stronger than divine power.
this game is also very
Uh,
silly. In case it's not,
yeah,
this is a comedy.
well,
For the game is a comedy. Let me be clear about this because I heard.
Goldship herself is it's one of those situations where like you try and take her seriously and she gets really silly. But then she pulls out a situation like another story event that I've actually had pull up a couple times with her, whereupon she actually gives you this long-winded thing about when she was a little girl and she encountered this other Uma who actually was a yakisoba, merchant, and uh, she had retired from racing, and now she, was a chef that did yakisoba, and she's like, I wish I could see her again. And so if you actually humor her and you're like, oh, yeah, this totally happened, she actually encounters this yakisoba selling Uma again, and you're like, no freaking way. It's actually is real.
Yeah,
So,
it merits mention. The game is basically like an action comedy, and
yes.
most of the events are designed to be silly. I do know there are bits in the anime and the manga that can get a bit more dramatic and story heavy, and let's just be real, there are certain parts of this game that are freaking sad. Like the second
Like, do they?
major scenario of the story, which the story is basically just cutscenes. Like you just watch them when you're ready to watch them, and you can just let them rest when you're not ready to do it. But the second
Mhm.
scenario is the story of Rice Shower. Now let me tell you how this game stabbed me in the soul because I went into this completely oblivious to everything. I knew nothing but the most surface level information that one could get by basically knowing that it exists and reading the store page on the Google Play Store. So I download this game and I get started. During the tutorial, there's a bit with like, hey, because you're a new trainer, you get to get an automatic free 3-star horsey. And they give you a list of, I think it's like 12 or 16 different options, and you just get to kind of like funnel through and pick one you want. I, not knowing better, I'm like, oh, there's this horsey with a really, really pretty blue hat. Her name is Rice Shower. And I picked Rice Shower. And I started training Rice Shower. And then I read about Rice Shower. And oh my god, it is so freaking sad.
It is. Yeah, it basically is one of those situations where it's like, man, one bad accident, one bad day. Because honestly, that's the thing. If I remember the story correctly, is that she was an up and coming, and she was like brilliantly good at racing. It's just she had one bad tumble,
Yep.
and she broke her leg,
Well, more
and it
than
was like a
that. More than that is like, here's the thing horses in reality are neither hero nor villain, they're just competitors. But that's not how people
Mhm.
think. People are driven by personifying things and the broader narrative. All of human history is a narrative. Ergo, your experiences will be recounted in the form of a narrative. There's a story to be told. So, Rice Shower, who was decently young, uh, ran in several major races, including one where I believe Mihano Bourbon was racing for her Triple Crown. And Rice Shower defeated her on the third major race. And even though she won, the crowd booed her. because they wanted to see Mihano Bourbon. And in their version of this story, Mihano Bourbon was the hero and Rice Shower was the villain. And then it happened a second time. I want to say, was it Oguri Cop? There was a very similar situation. She ran against another very fierce competitor and sniped the win, basically. And people once again were like, "Oh, Rice Shower's the villain," and they stole the victory that was supposed to belong to someone else. And then during that race, Rice Shower stumbled, took the turn wrong. I don't 100% know what happened. And they fell, shattered their leg, like in this horribly gruesome, unsavable way, and had to be euthanized there on the track. And it basically
Well,
broke the jockey's spirit.
the thing was with horses, and this is kind of unfortunate fact of the matter with them, is that being, well, first off, horses are a weirdly fragile species. Out of all equines, they are probably have they basically are literal glass cannons. They can run extremely well and they can run extremely far, but the way they do this is by effectively making themselves as efficient as possible and also by making their legs as light as possible, which means that if they trip or they stumble and they break their legs, that's about it for them.
Yep.
Um, really no other equine really has this issue because they're not designed to, and this is not helped by human breeding, which has effectively made racehorses like that. People talk about like, oh, what's going to be the ultimate in for human Olympic ability. For horses, we've pretty much established that there really is not. You can't make them go any faster. It's just trying to get up to that point. And this is also the reason why horses racing only lasts on average about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not surprising to me. It is really sad though that she was, as I understand it, extremely young,
She
and
was
she would have
six.
been able.
She was
Yeah,
six
she would
years
have been
old.
able to go at least for another year or two. Um, yeah, so that's the real tragedy of it.
Yep.
And then
And
of course, then you get guys like Old Ship who are still chugging along, and he's in his 30s, I want to say. So
he's an older horse, and they basically did a medical exam when he retired, and they're like, yeah, he's never actually like tried. Like he has never pushed himself a day in his life. And he's
that's
just
you could talk
freakishly
about yeah, you could talk about all the wacky things that he's done. Like the fact that he would actually have IRL beefs with certain other horses, and that's the reason why if you look at least in the anime, Gold Ship will always go in wearing a hood over her face, and that they kind of treat it like it's just like, oh, this is what Gold Ship does as a ritual. In um, actuality, it was they had to do that because otherwise he would, basically back up into the stall, and so he'd be facing the wrong way because he's that much of a smartass.
Yep. And
So.
another thing that's really interesting about Golshi was the fact that he knew what cameras were and knew what they were for. So he would deliberately
Hmm.
act out in front of cameras, specifically because he knew people
Hmm.
would watch.
Oh, not only that, he would actually face them. You have to understand also with horses is that being herbivores, they have their eyes on the side of their heads so that they can actually look on. If they look at you at the side, that's them actually looking at you. He would look at them face on, like a human would. And so people are sometimes wonder if he actually had a mutation and he could have binocular vision, which is kind of terrifying.
Kind of scary, yeah. Like, think about that for a minute. Another thing is Golshi was also known for biting other horses' tails if he got the chance.
Yes, that's the reason why the Uma has the red color scheme. The color schema for that is like a racer that has a red is dangerous. You shouldn't stand behind them because they will kick and they will basically you know be dangerous to anyone but humans that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And because he would do that, he was basically always branded with the red. Yeah,
And
now you know.
yep.
That's how she got her color.
Yep. And you know what? I'll share another I'll share a story about our girl, about our cinnamon roll Haru. Uh the thing that's really interesting, and I didn't even know this, I actually had to research for this. Uh Haru Urara is famous for having a win record of 0 to 113. Now, not only is that impressive in its own right, but here's
That's that's actually obsolete.
the race that she won actually was not ranked officially, so that I believe
Well, I
is
I know that, but I'm just saying that she went out on a win
that's true.
right before she passed away. She got a
Absolutely.
win. It was a basically yeah, it was a exhibition for retired
Yeah,
racers like she was, but she actually won that one.
she
So
did.
I'm
She
just
won.
saying.
Now, the thing that's really interesting isn't the fact that she lost, it's the fact of how many losses there were. Most racehorses over the course of their careers, the average clocks in 25 to 50 races their entire lives. Haru Urara ran 113 ranked races. And that
Well,
is why she became that symbol of the downtrodden. Because the early aughts were an economic bubble popping and everything going terrible, or worse than it already was. And people saw this little horsey who never ever won, but never ever stopped trying. And that,
well, this is kind of a there's a reason for that actually.
oh,
And this is also kind of a thing that is that at least in the game, and this has only happened to me once, and this was just me kind of screwing around because I realized that racing actually is really good for getting skill points,
right,
and for certain trainees, you really want to have a lot of skills. Um, but they caution you. It's like you should not race more than 3 times.
in a row.
The reason for that is you don't want to overexert your trainee. Understandable. The thing with that, though, is the fact that Haru's farm that owned her was kind of on rough ground, as I understand it, and so they needed to enter her into races in order to get prize money.
Right.
And so even though she wasn't winning, she would still get something. And so, and as I am, or so I am told, they never actually had her go all out. And so it was just her like, oh yeah, she's just going for a jog. It's fine. It's fine. It's not going to hurt you, honestly, an average person to just go for a jog. If especially if you're like a, well-trained athlete, yeah, it's whatever, as long as
Yep.
you're not going all out. And they weren't, and they specifically mentioned it's like we are not going to have her go all out because she's going to be doing a race this week. She's going to be doing a race the next week for like the next 6 months. And yeah, it basically was like she did a race, I want to say on average, like every 2 races every month, which is a huge amount of racing.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And she became a national icon. And here's a fun bit of trivia about that is
mm,
the kanji put on a losing betting ticket can also be read as to avoid being hit. So people would bet on her and take their losing betting tickets and put them in their cars or bicycles as good luck charms to ward off traffic accidents.
mm,
So,
damn, that's a level of superstition I don't think I was not aware of that, but that's a level of pun and superstition that I'm like, wow, that's a thing.
that's something I've picked up along the way, and yeah,
I I am shocked you haven't mentioned the other thing about
Uh,
your about Super Creek, about why she is the way she
oh,
is.
why she is a mommy? Yes, this is a pretty
Yes.
cute story actually. Apparently, her jockey, the first time he won, I want to say G3, G1, I forget. Uh, his first major win in that particular rank was on Super Creek. And he kind of developed this habit of like baby talking her. And would just I forget if Super Creek was a guy or a girl horse in real life.
I believe Super Creek is a boy, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly.
I think you're right. But he would baby talk the horse and like just kind of dote on them and be extra like sweet and cute with them. And they were just like, that is super cute. We really want to just like adapt this into this Uma. So that is why Super Creek has like the mommy personality, and she baby talks the trainer. And I gotta admit, my favorite Uma meme is the edited the shooped manga panel with her with the shadowy face and the intense eyes and the text, "Have you ever had to play Goo Goo Babies with your life on the line?"
I gotta say, one of my favorite like crossover memes is the one with Slow Dancer as the like middle-aged woman, and with Johnny Joestar just hanging off her back.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say I'd be completely okay with Umamusume X Steel Ball Run.
I would like to see that personally, and honestly, it's weirdly serendipitous timing, because like a couple months after the global launch of Umamusume is when they announced the Steel Ball Run anime. Uh, so that's interesting. A lot of love for horses this year. Even though I believe it's the year of the snake in terms of the Chinese calendar, so that's a fun little thing. Let's see another fun horsey. Okay, it's time. It's time. We are late enough in the video. We have to reveal our horse waifu. It is time for us to come clean. Now, you guys at home, go to the comments right now. Before we go further, go to the comments and leave a comment. Which horse do you think Ditaku and I waifu? It's two different horses, I can tell you that. But you leave your guesses, then come back to the video and hear our answers. And this will be a fun little challenge for
I've,
all of us.
this is unfair. I've already kind of said it, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Uh, now, mine, uh, don't get me wrong, I do love Super Creek. Of the original 18, she probably is my favorite. But my number one horsey is actually Hishi Akabono. Uh, she's cute. She's big. She likes to eat. She's super sweet. And she can fireman carry the trainer. And I am down for that. So I'm going for Hishi Akabono. All right. So,
Understandable. I have her. I think she's great. She's honestly my favorite and best sprinter because really, honestly, it's between her and King Halo. And King Halo is just, man, I don't know. It's just she is rough, man. She is rough.
yeah,
Um,
I get it.
honestly, yeah. So ironically though, like speaking of that, like I have, you know, on the other hand of that, I also got Major O McQueen really early on,
Nice.
and that's the opposite issue. The problem was with that one, for whatever reason, I have not. Uh, I always seem to wash out in like the last eighth or ninth career goal.
Right.
It's rough, which is weird. She actually is kind of the opposite situation where her stats are actually really her prerequisites and capabilities, especially on like turf, are really good. So I guess I just have really bad luck. That being said, getting back to your thing, um, it's funny though. You mentioned you did Rice Shower. I actually did Silent Suzuka, which is probably the most brain dead basic beginner horse because her entire thing is I go fast, I am front runner, I rar,
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Yes.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Yes, her entire thing is basically she wants to go as fast as possible. She has bonuses for speed training. She's a front runner. Her entire thing is basically just going to the front and sticking to the front.
Yep.
There is not anything about worrying about power or about anything. It's like, it's extremely brain dead in terms of characters. But
Yeah.
she's cute. She's very girly, and she's, I have a thing for, women with teammate cuts. That being said, though, I gotta say, my favorite. I love Gold Ship. Look, okay, when I was younger and, I would play Stone Soup, I played a Chaos Knight of Zom. And it was always, how is the game going to screw me over today? And so Gold Ship is great because she has excellent base stats. The problem being is that Gold Ship herself really is her own worst enemy. And so instead of like, I could go training or I could go and do a vision quest in order to find Planet Golgol. It's like Planet Golgol doesn't exist. Does it? Does it, trainer?
And then when you win,
So
she drop kicks you.
yes, she does, which is another actual reference to the actual horse because he would drop kick cameras if he saw them. The other, it's either a toss-up between her or Grass Wonder. And honestly, Grass Wonder, I love for the fact that she is like the epitome of like the good girl of Joe-sama, like very, very high class, very, very ladylike, offset by the fact that she literally is, just the villain. And her entire thing is just debuffing every other racer, and then like, yeah, I won, and she does like a very cute little jump, and it's like, yeah, you won by dropping poison gas on everyone around
You know, I when I
you, giving the
did when I did
good.
my Silent Suzuka run, one of my big things, like if I get a 2-star horse, I usually try to invest in them until they're 3 stars and they get their unique outfit. I feel that's where you really start to see their individuality. And when I did my run
Yeah,
for her, I kind of looked at her skills, and I'm like, oh, she has like a bunch of debuffs. Like that's really interesting. Let's lean into this. And one of the things I guess I was consciously aware of it, but became more aware as the run went on, was the fact that both her legacy parents were also debuffers. So she had like 6 or 8 different debuffs and basically could affect all styles of running in one way or another. And I showed her to the Tomo bros, and Itaku was just like, wow, you left no one untouched. You got everybody.
yep. Because there are specific debuffs for if you are going to attack someone who is in front of you, someone who's behind you, someone around you. You can actually attack people who are with a strategy of being a front runner, people who are pace chasers, late engagers, or, end rushers. And he had ones that could attack basically every avenue. And the benefit of Grass Wonder is she emphasizes speed and she emphasizes wit. Wit's main thing is basically giving you an
Skill
increased
procs.
proc chance. Yes. And so her thing is basically you want to have high speed and you want to have high wits because you want to basically invest and have a huge amount of skill procs. Ironically, Anya's Tachyon, I have always done her like that. She doesn't actually have a benefit to wits, even though you think that she would, because her entire thing is she's like a mad scientist, but she
Yep.
doesn't actually have a benefit to wits. She has a benefit to speed.
Yep.
So, no, but I mean, she's a good one, and I'll tell you something even funnier, actually, there, Professor.
Do tell.
Grass Wonders, both her sire and her damn sire, her mom and dad,
Mhm.
are American. So she literally is the I was born in America but raised in Japan.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a number of them that are like that. Like I want to
Yeah.
say El Condor Pasa actually should be literally is the case of I was born in America, but I have a sombrero and now I'm raised in Japan.
As I
She was
recall,
born
Hishi
in
Aka
Kentucky, I want to say.
Hishi
Yeah.
Akabono, I believe, his sire was American. I forget if his mother was.
A lot of them are because Silent Sunday, which is like basically the like sire for a vast majority of Japanese racehorses, was from Kentucky too. So, I
Okay.
mean, most of them are technically speaking Gaijin.
Well, that's a thing the anime goes into because Special Week is half and half American, half Japanese, as I recall, and that
Um,
plays very heavily into her character arc in the anime. And amusingly enough, she's also one of those horses with a very specific what if prerequisite. But I'll let you guys discover that one for yourself because I'll be honest, Special Week does absolutely nothing for me. It's just, she's okay. She's all right.
yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. Tokai Teo and Special Week are I'm kind of the same. And like, I look at them and I'm like, man, these are MLP OCs. Or just with like their multi bang color hair.
Yeah.
Um, I don't get me wrong, they are extremely powerful in the game, but I'm
Yes.
like, I just feel like I'm playing with somebody's OC when I'm using them, even though I'm like, you're
And
really good.
and if I really
And I don't,
wanted that like multi-bang color, I would raise Meisho Doto.
really?
Yeah.
I was about to say I would use symbol Rudolphi,
Well, that's a good
but that's
choice.
just because of like kneel before your emperor.
I had a really good
Does the
Rudolphi run.
emperor want
Yeah.
a sugar cube? The emperor will accept this.
One of the things that I think is the most fun is how the trainer plays into the Uma's personality and will usually just play along with whatever they're doing at the time.
Yeah,
So
it's a
it's pretty
very
cute.
even keeled. Yeah, very even keeled. Just like take what. But then again, there are a lot of strong personalities.
Yeah. And yeah, and let me give you guys some mechanical advice. I started and we kind of got derailed. Your stats matter, and your skills matter, but they all matter a little bit differently.
Yes,
I'm not going to get into
yes.
like,
Don't go for. Oh, first off, don't listen to the advice that you're given by the trainer. She is going to lead you down the path of ruination.
the game
Secondly,
does not know why you lost. It is guessing. It will pick the stat
yes,
that's either the lowest or it will zero in on the number of skills you have. And that's all it uses that judgment on. It is completely useless advice. She means
I've
well, but she's
found
dumb.
that I found that if you actually listen to her advice, if you get a loss after a race, that's useful. But yeah, like her being like, "Oh, your guts is low. Oh, your wits is low." It's like, yeah, because I'm doing silence Suzuka. I don't need wits. I just need to go fast.
Yep. So I will say, speed, speed is your omni stat. You will not win with low speed. Every horse needs it. No questions asked.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, there's no situation whereby you can just do the wacky races situation whereupon like they run over or get blown up by a landmine and you just walk across past where they are.
Yeah.
They haven't quite got to that yet.
Yeah, that and it never will happen. Speed remains the omni stat. I even saw a stat breakdown for the current JP server, and while the stats do get more complicated and there's more mechanics that become involved, speed is still the omni stat. You want it always, no questions asked. Stamina,
Yeah, even characters like Anya Tachyon or even as we say Grass Wonder or Super Creek where like you can finagle things with skills or with other strategies, you still need to be able to keep up with the race.
yep.
So
Stamina is generally a must-have, but there are certain characters that can bend that rule. as said, Super Creek can basically just like keep recovering the same stamina pool over and over and over again. And so usually she can squeak by with a little less, but stamina is generally considered an omni stat too. So yeah,
I'm able to
pretty
pull off.
straightforward.
Uh, I've been able to pull off similar situations with Anya's Tachyon, but just because she actually, I've noticed this too. I don't know if this is correct. That depending on your strategy, that will actually determine how much stamina you burn.
Yes.
For instance, if you are a front runner, that actually will burn your stamina really high. So ironically, with Silent Suzuka, basically you just want to do speed and stamina.
Correct.
Anya's Tachyon, because she is a late engager, and she also, I don't know, maybe it's just me, and I always give her high at wits. So she has a heavy skill proc. Basically, I could squeak by because hers is another stamina recovery. I could squeak by with basically having a bunch of other, basically just having a bunch of skills and relying on debuffs and having a high speed rather than just stamina,
Yeah,
if that
absolutely.
makes sense.
Yeah, you can definitely
Yeah.
finagle this. These are not set in stone,
Yeah.
and I'm not like some
Yeah.
metagame
Yeah. Yeah.
master.
So you kind of,
So
it really is honestly a situation where you kind of have to think about what's, you want to basically focus on one strategy, um, and you want to focus on a couple different. You'll notice with the aptitudes for particular umas that they excel in particular brackets. For instance, most of them will want to do mediums. The Euro Cups, the opening cup, they're all mediums for the most part. Um, some of them are sprints. I want to say for Haru, it's a sprint, but most of them are mediums. And so having some skills that are dedicated to that, always a good thing. But
mhm.
in terms of you base, and so that's, you don't want to just like lay out your skills willy nilly, because I'm telling you right now, especially if you're doing the Unity Cup where you're getting skills from like 20 other girls, and they will tell you, it's like, these are ones that are like, oh yeah, here, let me show me my secret technique. And you're like, oh, it's front runner technique. And I'm playing a late engager. Thanks.
I have G in front runner. Thanks.
Yeah, it's like, thanks. It's really helpful. Uh,
Yes.
so
So
you kind of have to be very choosy unless
yeah.
you, once again, you're doing like Super Creek or another wits-based character and you're like, I can't believe I can't hold all these skills, and you have like 15 skills.
And sometimes that will
So
happen. Yes. So next is power. And power's interesting because power doesn't seem immediately useful until you understand how the game is actually processing it. So, for starters, power influences acceleration. So, how quickly you get to your max speed when you're ready to get there. So, if you have someone like, say, Hishi Akabono, and you enter into that last leg of the race, and she's ready to like put the afterburners on, her power stat is going to be crucial to getting her to her max potential. Also, power is important for passing. If you watch the races, instead of being an impatient guy and just like mashing the skip button, you will see a status indicator that will pop up from time to time that says dueling. And you're like, well, what's that mean? Well, that means that two Umas are neck and neck. The game is currently throwing the dice for a power check. And you are generally, with higher power, going to end duels and pass much faster. So a high power
this is
horse is, one of those things that will excel at a breaking out of a pack.
particular Umas are actually really good at this. Hishi Amazon thrives in this situation because her entire thing is having high power, and her unique skill, you and me one-on-one, her entire thing is basically giving her massive bonuses in order to have people and jockey for position. Because her entire thing is akin to Hishi Akabono, basically hang back until the last quarter of the race, at which point she rockets forward. And because, of course, you took this character who her win event is to literally do the engine pose for Kamen Rider Amazon, you are going to give her huge power, and she is going to fist fight every other racer until she wins.
Yep. Yes. So power is a very important stat, but some horses can actually thrive without. There are certain skills, for
Yeah,
instance, that excel. Like it'll speed up how duels are resolved. It'll give you greater passing power. It'll give you the ability to like change lanes more efficiently. Moving sideways actually burns a lot of stamina. So generally, you want to stay in your lane as much as possible. But there are skills that can modify how that works. I'm not going to get super technical here.
steadfast.
Yeah.
Steadfast. The reason why I know this is I keep getting it, and it basically makes it a free action in terms of stamina in order to move sideways. If you get the Nimble Navigator and Steadfast, it basically allows you to fly around like you're a Star Wars starfighter, and you aren't burning, stamina going sideways, and you're basically able to like duck and weave, which ordinarily is very, very stamina intensive.
Yes. So then there's guts. Now, I know there's a few people who are salty about me calling this the dump stat, but it is. Even in the JP server, guts doesn't serve much of a purpose. Its biggest thing is that in the last leg of the race, it influences stamina drain. Now, that's basically it. But here's where the math doesn't math very well. There is no situation that I've seen. There could be. I haven't seen it. I have not seen a situation where mathematically higher guts is better than higher stamina. It works out numbers wise that it's still better to just have more stamina instead. Now, does it help to have? Yes.
I have had situations, as said, whereupon just because of the way that the Unity Cup is, I have had basically equally high stamina and guts, and it has worked out. I was able to complete the Euro Cup, but
Okay.
I'm just saying that, I mean, yeah, and as I did it more for the fact that the guts training just raises so many stats, which is understandable because I want to say the level 5 one is literally you running up flights of stairs like you're Rocky,
Yeah. Well,
which I just think is funny.
yeah. It is important to note that every stat has a counterpart. And when you raise one stat, you generally raise a secondary. And as I recall, Guts is the only one that can also have a tertiary stat raised. Because if you reduce speed, you also get power. If you do stamina, you also get guts. If you do power, I think you get stamina? I forget.
Power is stamina. It's speed and power. Power, stamina. Guts does speed, power, and guts, and then wits does speed and wits, and also
Right.
gives you a lot more skill points. You get a few skill points, but if you raise wits, you get like it's usually like 3 or 4. You get like 5 to 10, depending
Yes.
on the level of wits that you're doing. Another important thing: all of these will drain your energy. Wits, on the other hand, actually recovers a small amount of energy,
Yep.
which is really useful for wits-based Umas because you don't have to waste turns resting. You can just basically go speed, wits, speed, wits, speed, wits, and it effectively makes it like energy completely neutral.
So there are a few meme builds that hinge on this, and there are some PvP builds that hinge on this. I will say that if you are a PvE, especially if you're a free to play player, uh, Wits is borderline a dump stat. And the reason I'm
It
saying that,
really depends on the trainee, though,
it
bro. I mean,
somewhat.
maybe it's just the Umas I like, but I'm like, I, I have now that I've tasted the skill proc, nectar. I'm like, this tastes good.
So here's why I'm saying that. In the campaign, and only the campaign, this does not apply in any other game mode, especially not the PvP, that You have an invisible stat buff at all times. During the campaign, you have, I want to say, 300 or 400 added to every stat automatically. Uh, it is just given, the game does not draw your attention to it, but it is there. Now, the thing that's really interesting about this is because of that buff, in the campaign mode, uh, the actual like floor for about a 70% proc chance is about 300 wits. Now, if you want higher than that, because 70 is a bit of is that devilishly unreliable number, uh, Focus Blast users will definitely hashtag relatable this. You can go
Oh
higher.
man, yes. Oh Lord, I honestly think that that's just Game Freak being bad at probability.
And that is very possible as well. Uh, so in the specifically the campaign mode, if there are stats that you want to neglect, and I'm talking independent of Uma choice, I'm just talking in general, then neglect guts
Yes.
first and wit second. So if you just want to narrow it down to three, there's your main choices. Now, this is not a uniform thing. I know there's people already in the comments cursing my name for suggesting this, but let me break it down for you. Once you learn the basics, you can start fine tuning your strategy. Uh, there are certain Umas that are skill reliant, and there are certain Umas who just want certain skills. It's just a given. Like we said, Super Creek is a good example of an Uma who thrives with a good number of skill procs under her belt because she can go with a much lower stamina stat if she does. So you see, it's strategies
Yes.
upon strategies. So even though while during the race, you're hands off and it's all in her court, you have given her the tools for success. And that makes a very, very compelling relationship between Uma and trainer.
Or you'd be like me, just give, your gold chip, Uma Stan, a lot of the jockey position skills, and then just, late engage, high speed straightaways, and then just, laugh because she basically gets a huge benefit to speed and acceleration for the number of racers she's around.
You know,
Uh,
there are. I've seen some pretty good meme builds. I have been impressed by the not only the sheer variety, but also the creativity this fandom has exhibited. Uh, Seeing what they've done and what they can do. Uh, this is where I wish to reiterate my challenge from earlier. You Umamusume guys, get Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX. You owe it to yourself. Because if you just basically add combat to Umamusume, that's basically the Monster Rancher experience. Now, should you play Line Monster Farm? Well, that depends on how masochistic you are. If you hate yourself
yeah,
as much as
especially
I do, then yeah, play Line Monster Farm. But otherwise, maybe don't.
especially because it's a free to play only.
Yeah,
Um,
you literally cannot whale if
yeah,
you're not in Japan with a Japanese bank account.
yeah.
So that's always interesting. Actually, that's an interesting thing. I have not put down a single penny on Uma Musume. I have been exclusively free to play, and here's the neat part. Every single horse can be promoted up to 5 stars. In fact, I have 4 horses who are 4 stars at present. And there was a time between launch and when I started picking it up again that I just wasn't playing at all. And then I picked it up again just kind of on a lark because like I was like, hey, maybe I was wrong, maybe I should give it another chance. And like there was nothing negative. It was more just a matter of like I have too many games on my phone. And of the ones that got deleted, Uma Musume was the one that kind of was the siren song. It's like, Snek, come back. You want to keep raising horses. And I'm
You
like,
know,
maybe I do want to
the
raise
funny thing about
horses.
that,
What's that?
that's no, it's the funny thing is actually I have about the same number of 4 stars as you. The funny thing being though is that two of my 4 stars, I want to say I have I have Silent Suzuka. I have Ma- uh, Majoro McQueen, which I just think is funny because I'm like, why can't I figure you out? And yet you're, the grandpappy of my girl. And then I have both of the copies of Rice Song or
Rice shower?
Rice Shower. Yes, I have the regular, and then I have Vamp Rice, and both of those are 4 stars too.
Very nice. I,
In my effort to get Mummy Super Creek, I kept getting Vamp Rice, and so I actually was able to promote her to a 4 star.
I almost have Vampirice to 4 stars because of something really similar, actually. But I don't have quite enough. I think I'm like 50 or 60 shy. That said, I have Grass Wonder White Mage. I kept pulling her because I actually wanted the fantasy RPG version of El Condor Pasa and did not get her. So I just kept pulling White Mage Grass Wonder. So she got promoted to 4 star like almost instantly. My Super Creek is 4 stars. My Hishi Akabono is 4 stars, and Meisho Doto is 4 stars.
You can buy new
Yeah.
star fragments.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. The daily
actually,
shop that procs randomly whenever you play any of the PvP or extra modes will have random star pieces, and you can spend goddess statues for star pieces for any horsey that you currently have.
yes, that's actually how I was able to get Gold Chip up to 3 stars. Was like, you know what? I'm going to see if there's a way, and lo and behold, there was. And I'm like, well, I have like 400 of these statues.
Yep.
Might as well.
Yeah, the economy does go down over time because for every batch it goes up like 1 cost each time. But I did that to get Super Creek to 4 stars as well. So
Well, yeah, it's useful, and it will cost you an arm and a leg eventually. I think I got in my effort to get I want to say Silent Suzuka up to 4 stars. I basically just dumped a whole and yeah, I went from like 400 to like 250, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's fine. She's my first 3 star. She's like the most brain dead racer I have. It's fine.
to conclude today's discussion, what horses are you striving for? Which ones are you waiting for their rate up banners?
Well, there's one actually. As stated, I don't know if I told you this or not. I did a YOLO banner on Kawakami Princess literally last night, which is how I got Gold City.
Right.
But there is, I want to say, don't remember her name. It's something Cafe. She's got really long black hair,
Oh, Manhattan
and I'm like,
Cafe.
yeah, I'm like,
I
she
have a
is
card with
really
her.
cute.
Yes.
Yeah, and she literally is going to have a rate up in 2 days, and so I'm like, I have
Nice.
like 8,000 carrots waiting for her.
Very
So
nice. I
yeah,
am waiting for a Taiki shuttle rate up banner. Uh, the time of the game where I was not playing was when her rate up banner first appeared, so that sucks. But she has a very strong synergy with several horses I do have, and would like to make some really good legacy Umas with her. And Teki Shuttle would be an excellent addition to my roster, as would Hishi Amazon, actually. I do not have Amazon.
oh, see, I have her, and let me tell you, she is absolutely worth it, and also she is a huge cinnamon roll because she basically I forget Suke Bandeka. She basically is like the heroine of Suke Bandeka, and she's like, I'm a total badass. I'm wandering around and being a badass, and then like small child or little cute puppy, and she's like, cute thing, and she's just like just a big softie, and so she presented herself to be a total hard case, but she's actually like really sweet and nice to pretty much everyone. So
I like that. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
like to get Taiki Shuttle and Hishi Amazon. Those are probably my next goals.
yeah. If I could get the only other one I would really want to get is Biwa Hayashide. Just
Oh yes, I have
think
her.
she looks.
She is very cute.
I think she looks pretty. Yeah, like her big fluffy white hair.
Yep.
So
No, respect the hustle. She's a good choice. I got her relatively early. She was one of the first banners I actually invested in at any real length. So I've liked her, so I think you will as well. All right, everyone, go down to the comments and tell us which horsey is your favorite. Which Uma is your waifu? Which one is your Dateru? Uh, Tell us about your successful races and strategies. Tell us how wrong we are about our strategies. We would love to hear all about it. Uh, and let us know, what did you think? Do you guys enjoy Umamusume? Or maybe you're an outsider looking in. Are you going to try it out now that you've heard us talk about it? Let us know. We'd be very curious to hear. So thank you,
And
Itaku. Hmm?
oh, you're welcome. And tell us if we're wrong too.
If there
Hey,
is anything that
we
is factually wrong, please correct us. We will own it.
yes. Neither of us. I mean, I literally started like a month ago. I am
Yeah,
not an expert by any stretch, and I don't think the professor here is either.
I am
He
not.
has got his doctorate in monster racing, not in horse girl racing. So.
Yeah, so we are always eager to learn more. We are that kind of autismos, so we'd be happy
Hmm.
to hear where we can improve. But
Hmm.
thank you for joining me in this spirited discussion about one of life's finest topics, horse girls.
You are welcome.
And we're going to see you guys next time.